because of how far it is. All right, I think we're good. Mambo inachemka chemka. Ni ajeni. Iningu Victor hapa from the Imperfect Christian. We are on the journey to 365 of reading the Bible. And today, ladies and gentlemen, was channel of Lana. Day 3, we were doing Genesis chapter 8 to 11. Day 4, we'll be doing Job chapter 1 to 5.
This is the Imperfect Christian, hosted by me, Mr. Iningu Victor.
Genesis chapter 8 to 11. Quite intense, I'd say. Quite intense, I'd say. Today, I have read from the ESV, Global Study Bible, English Standard Version. Cool. How am I doing? I'm just shocked. nimeshtuka because of how intense things get from now. Easy chapters tumekuwa. Hey, Biblia ni Biblia. Tuseme tu Biblia ni Biblia. Biblo is the Biblo. The Bible is the Bible. Biblia ibaki Biblia, and let's honor it because it's intense. Chapter 8, we are taken through Noah's Ark venye after mvua imeisha. It just didn't end na ni hivyo. Noah had to send a few birds kidogo hapa na pale, akaanza na raven, kisha akaanza na dove, just to try and test if maji may subside. And the floods were truly something, kwa sababu zilikaa for a while. I want you to tell me the details because you're going to read and tell me what you highlight. So in chapter 8, we see just the transition of now after the aftermath after the flood and how things go. After wamekaa, even after kumeacha kunyesha, they didn't just get out. Kuna hiyo mpangilio. I think that's something I'm loving about the Bible, because as I said on day 1, you get to see how things don't just happen, they happen systematically. Unfortunately, in this today's TikTok generation, our generation enye we love chap, like, comment, going viral, pap, tumeenda nini, life has changed. But unfortunately for us, because we are called mostly the microwave generation, because of that, it has affected how we perceive things, and we are very chap, we love things going. But I have consistently seen in the Bible so far that kuna order. Even how Noah built the ark, how the rains rained, even after the rains have stopped raining, they didn't just go out, there was things mikakati. And even after now they came out, Noah aka offer sacrifices to the Lord, and God now made the covenant with Noah. And this is where now, during the covenant that God makes with Noah and his sons and with everyone, this is where now we get the famous, the bow, in other words, the rainbow. And how now this is, whenever God sees the rainbow, it reminds him of the covenant that he made with Noah and his sons, that he will never again finish the earth through rains or floods. Then we see God putting the covenant with them, and now we see it happening. And then Noah akaanza ukulima. Noah akalima divai, olive, in other words, zikazaa matunda, akatengeneza mvinyo. Noah akakunywa mvinyo, na alipokunywa mvinyo akalala ndese. Alipolala ndese, kijana wake mmoja akakuja, akaingia, akachungulia baba yake akiwa ndese. And because of that one son was cursed, because alikuja ndani akona baba yake ako ndese. I want you to tell me which son it was. Akakuja akachungulia baba yake akaona ako ndese, akaenda kuambia mabrother wengine, kujeni muone dadia kondese. But these other sons wakasema hapana, hatutafanya hivyo. They took a cloth, wakaekelea hapo kwa mabega, and wakarudi wakatembea kwa baba yake wakiwa kinyume ili wasiweze kumchungulia. Baada ya kumfunikia, wakaona mambo yako sawa. Vile Noah alikam back to his senses, akamlaani huyo baba ya Canaan ambaye ni kijana wake, akamwambia, wewe kwa sababu ya kunichungulia nikiwa ndese, you will be a servant to your brothers and your generations. Ndese inaleta laana. Then now we get to see the nations and the descendants of Noah. That's in chapter 10. The whole thing of the covenants, that is in chapter 9, and the whole shenanigans of now the aftermath, the cursing of the father of Canaan. Hey, inakuwa ni ngumu sana. Chapter 10, we get now to see the descendants of Noah and how all that happened. And I loved how there was someone, this one we must highlight, in chapter 10 verse number 8, we get to meet a guy called Cush. Cush fathered Nimrod, and Nimrod, he was the first on earth to be a mighty man. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore, it is said like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. Isn't that interesting that the Bible calls him the mighty man? I just found hiyo lazima tumpe a heads up, tumpe and a shout out. That's chapter 10. Chapter 10 so we just get to see the generations forming and all that until now we get to chapter 11 where now it happens, the Tower of Babel, and we see that now people walikuwa sasa wameanza wote wanaongea lugha moja, wanaanza kujisikia hao ndio kusema, and they want now to build a tower that ni kama tu they're trying to build a statue ya hapa ndio sisi ndio kusema, and the God in heaven sees this and anaona hawa sasa wanajisikia hao ndio kusema, and they come down, they confuse their languages, na hapo ndipo hiyo mambo ya Tower of Babel ikaishia. And after that now we get to see the descendants of Shem, we get to see Terah, and verse 11 ends so nicely. We get to see now Terah, and now that generation we now get to see Abram. So we're just ending, tumeona Abram ameintroduciwa, Sarai ndo huyo hapo, Lot ndo huyo hapo, wako mahali panaitwa Ur. I want you to give me the details of the ending I want you to give me the details of chapter 11 from verse 27 to 32. Just before we call Abram, before the call of Abram. Just ends so nicely. But before that, kumekuwa intense bana. It's been intense. Alafu I want you guys to tell me how you read the genealogies. Juzo genealogies kwanza kitu moja ni majina. Kama kuna jamaa ito Reu, mimi mwita Reu. Ukienda chapter 11 verse 20, unaona kuna jamaa anaitwa, hata tunaweza anzia chapter 11 verse 18. Tunaona inasema when Peleg had lived 30 years he fathered Reu. R-E-U, Reu, and Peleg lived after he had fathered Reu 9 years, and he had other sons and daughters. When Reu was 32 years he fathered Serug, and Reu lived after he had fathered Serug 7 years and had other sons and daughters. So they're just interesting names which I fancy. How do you read the genealogies and how do you read those names? Unazisomangaje? I'm curious to know about that. Tomorrow we meet again. We will give a pause on Genesis to kimbie kwanza Job chapter 1 to 5. Stay reading the word, stay in the Bible. I hope you are having fun. Me, I'm having fun and also intensity. I'm realizing the Bible is like a movie. Kuna unasikia emotions zako zinaenda mara huyu mara hapa, but all in all it's a beautiful journey so far. Is it for day. Tuko day gani? Hebu niambieni tuko day gani? Otherwise, baraka tele hadi mfike kwenye televisheni, and remember to stay smappy. That's smiling because you're happy. Cheers. Woo! That was something. Yeah, intense, but loving it. Cheers. Good night. I can't even edit today. Let's just save it. Acha tuangalie. Tukuda hatujakuwa tukirecord, tutalia. Natumai mmepata hiyo. God blessing the God.
In 2026, do not look for things in ordinary places. Rainbows are usually in the sky. We never think to look for them on the ground. But today the sky is clouds, but the rainbow is on the ground. Happy 2026.